Initiation into Hermetics by Franz Barden. Step 9. Focus. Magic mental training. In the chapter referring to the magic psychic training, step 7, I have already clearly dealt with the problem of clairvoyance. In this step, I want to examine it closely once more. The various instructions which have been published up to now for the obtainment of this faculty did not bring about the desired success in anyone. Even people who are especially gifted in the mediumistic line have only attained a partial success which is getting lost sooner or later. But people like these and are very often struck by different diseases, such as weakness of the eyes, nervous disturbances, etc. The main reason for such ailments can be found in the fact that the clairvoyance has not been produced as a result of the mental or astral development, but has been conjured up by force and is therefore one-sided and morbid. Following any of these incompetent instructions leads, without any exception, to an unnatural, morbid neutralization of an element, which will result in an oversensitivity of one of the sense organs. Consequently, it is not impossible that, in this manner, perceptions from the astral and mental worlds may take place. But all these effects depend on the spiritual intelligence of the exercising person, on the maturity, and last on the karma too. The neutralization of an element can be divided in 4 main groups, which are: Group 1, neutralization of the fire principle. To this group belong all experiments of clairvoyance which have been performed by fixation, such as crystal gazing, staring at one point, a shiny surface, black ink, black coffee, mirrors, etc. Turn the page. Group 2, neutralization. Having trouble with that word. Let's have a sip. Neutralization of the air principle. In this group are subsumed all those experiments of clairvoyance which are performed with the help of fumigation and by inhaling of narcotic vapours, gases, and so on. Group 3, neutralization of the water principle. Here the neutralization is brought about by experiments made on narcotics and alkaloids such as opium, hashish, soma, peyote, mescal, which in the course of the digestive process are introduced into the bloodstream. Group 4, neutralization of the earth principle. Answering the same purpose are all the practices which are causing any kind of dissociation or split-off consciousness, for example, dancing, swaying of the upper part of the body, rotating of the head, spelling in the feet, and things like that. To this group too belong all the unwanted and morbid visions of the insane, and all the pathologic cases which occur as a result of shock, fury, and exhaustion. A great deal could be said about the variety of such exercises and their dangers and disadvantages, but this short description will be sufficient for the sincere magician. It is quite obvious that the neutralization of any element principle results not alone in several damages of the health, but it delays the spiritual development too, mainly in the cases where such and similar experiments have been practiced for a prolonged time and have become a habit. Based on these four principal groups, the skeptic has the opportunity to convince himself of the existence of higher powers, but if he can neither master himself nor the elements, he will quite easily succumb to the temptations of lower forces, and once giving in to them, one will find it very hard indeed to ascend again. Only a well-trained practicant with a firm will, who is mastering the elements and has developed the astral senses in the exercises of the various steps, can afford himself a temporary neutralization or elimination of any element principle without jeopardizing his body, spirit and soul. The true magician will restore his elemental balance with the help of his exercises. His result in the practice of clairvoyance are satisfying, because he does not try out experiments but works deliberately with the faculties he has achieved, which are the concomitances of his spiritual and psychical development. Practice of clairvoyance with the help of magic mirrors. There are two kinds of magic mirrors, namely, 1. The optic mirrors made from flat glass or concave glass and covered on one side with silver amalgam or black lacquer. As for the concave mirror, the side which is outward vaulted is lacquered, and the inside, that is concave part, will be pure and shining. The crystal balls also belong to the magic mirrors. Further, the flat or concave metal mirrors, the surface of which has been provided with a coloured or a black liquid. The surface of a pool can also serve as an optic mirror. The second kind of magic mirrors belong those mirrors which have been fitted out with the fluid condensers I have described previously. First of all, the magician has got to know that it is not the mere mirror granting the success, but the astral and mental faculties developed by the preceding exercises. Consequently, the magician will regard any magic mirror as an appliance, an expedient, or as a sort of tool. This does not mean, of course, that he would be able to work without a mirror, but because of the manifold opportunities which a magic mirror may offer, the magician likes to make use of this help. However, he who has worked through this practical course step by step will never just sit in front of a magic mirror and tire his visual nerves. He will operate in quite a different way, a way which is magically correct. Before I am going to describe some of these practices in detail, I will quote some examples where a magic mirror may be a very useful help. 1. When working with the imagination where optic exercises are required. 2. When loading up the powers, fluids of every kind. 3. As a transit gate to all desired planes. 4. As a help to induce a communication with living and deceased persons. 5. As a help to get contact with powers, beings, etc. Excuse me. As an equipment for radiotherapy and room impregnations. 7. To influence the own or other people's personality. 8. As a magic transmitter and receiver. 9. As a help to prevent dangerous and undesirable influences. 10. As an implement for the protection of all the desired powers, pictures, paintings, etc. 11. As a television set. 12. As a help to investigate present, past and future times. All the possibilities cannot be quoted, considering that the magic mirror represents a sort of universal help. Based on these 12 examples, the intuitive magician is now enabled himself to invent other new practices. You are sitting in the asana before your magic mirror, at a distance of 1 to 2 yards, in brackets 1 to 2 meters. The lighting does not play any importance at all. Now you start on imagination exercises by imagining objects on the surface of the mirror, one after the other, which you are supposed to see with your eyes, with your open eyes, as distinctly as if they were really there. Considering the fact that you have become a master of imagination in the meantime, this preliminary exercise will not be difficult for you. Hold on to the imagination of the object for some minutes and dissolve it afterwards with the help of the imagination. Supposing you still have difficulties with the imagination of objects, do at first try imagination exercises with colours before proceeding with objects. As I mentioned before, the optic imagination faculty is analogous to the fire principle, and magicians who master this element perfectly will have the best success with the mirror magic too. After the imagination of objects, you may turn to exercises with different animals, hereafter with human beings. First try to imagine features of friends, later on of strange people and races. Now extend your imagination work over the whole body. As soon as you are capable to imagine a human being, whether known or unknown, male or female, on the surface of the mirror, continue with the imagination of houses, areas, places, etc., until you have achieved a wonderful skill here too. Only now you are prepared magically to execute the correct mirror magic. The preliminary exercise is very important because the mental, astral and material eyes must get accustomed, with the help of these imaginative exercises, to perceive the size and the clearness of the impressions. Otherwise one will perceive distorted pictures only. Performing this preliminary exercise, one must never tolerate any pictures to appear in the mirror spontaneously, which could easily occur in the case of persons with spiritistic talents. Therefore, one must firmly refuse all pictures which appear unwanted on the surface of the mirror, however beautiful and fantastic they might be, because anything unwanted one does see belongs to the realm of hallucinations, reflections of the mind from the subconsciousness, which like to appear to deceive the magician and to prevent him from his work. Performing this preliminary exercise, one will notice that the imaginative work becomes much easier, the bigger the mirror happens to be. The loading of the magic mirror. The next task of the magician will be to become familiar with the loading of mirrors. He must be capable to bind the desired power to the surface of any mirror with the help of imagination, drawing it whether out of himself or directly from the universe, to accumulate this power and to dissolve it again by imagination into the primary source. The following loadings are to be made. 1. With all 4 elements, one after another. 2. With akasha. 3. With the light. 4. With the electric fluid. 5. With the magnetic fluid. As soon as the magician has gained a certain skill in loading the mirror, he is fit for further mirror experiments, for which I will quote some examples concerning the various methods. The magic mirror representing a transit gate to all planes. Performing this experiment, take care that you are not disturbed by your surroundings. Sit down comfortably in front of your mirror and load its surface with the akasha element, which you are sucking into your body by breathing through lungs and pores. The loading of the mirror with the personal akasha can take place whether by your hands or directly via the solar plexus. Now forget all about your body and think of yourself as a spirit, capable to adopt any shape and size. Now imagine your body becoming so small that it is able to go right through the mirror. Doing this with the help of the imagination, then you will be on the astral plane. Stay there deliberately for some time. Have a good look round without losing your consciousness or falling asleep. Having done so, return via the mirror and connect yourself again with your body. In the beginning, you will find yourself in complete darkness on the astral plane. After frequent repetition, you will perceive light. A strange feeling of freedom, timelessness, and spacelessness will overcome you. Now you happen to be on the astral plane, which is usually called the otherworld or the beyond. After frequent exercises, you will meet with deceased people and other beings. And if you wish to see one of the departed, you will be connected with this person instantly. After a few visits on that astral level, you will know all about the laws valid there, and you will see the place which shall be yours once you have left your physical body. The fear of death will be abolished hereby once and forever. Supposing you concentrate yourself from the astral plane onto a higher plane, you will very soon perceive finer vibrations, a sensation of extreme lightness, sort of being etherized will overcome you, and you will be able to go in touch with beings of those higher spheres. You will partake of cognitions, perceptions, and experiences which none of the mortals could ever give you. You will always return to your own body with spiritual vibrations of a higher kind, which cannot be described in mere words. Which of the spiritual spheres you will be able to visit depends entirely on the mastering of the elements and on your spiritual and astral purity, the ennobling of your character. There are no restrictions as far as the acquirement of higher knowledge is concerned. Having collected your experiences there, you may come in touch with high light entities too in exactly the same manner. But in this case, the mirror is not to be loaded with akasha, but with concentrated light similar to a sun. No doubt that with the aid of the mirror method, you will also be able to visit lower spheres too. For example, that of the elements and the beings there. In this case, you have to load the mirror with the respective element of the plane you wish to visit. Passing through the mirror, the form of the respective plane has to be adopted equally. If you wish to visit the kingdom of the goblins, not only the mirror must be loaded with the earth element, but your own spirit has to be imaginatively transformed in the shape of a gnome and to be filled entirely with the earth element. The same thing comes to pass with the spirits of the air, the so-called fairies, the spirits of the water or mermaids, and the spirits of the fire, the salamanders. Here as well, the experiences you will accomplish are so abundant and marvelous, the books that books could be written about these problems. How the spirits of the different elements can be summoned to come down to our earth, and the way they can be made useful to do various tasks, I will describe in detail in a second volume entitled Practice of Magical Evocation. The magic mirror representing a link between living and deceased persons. Supposing you wish the help of the mirror to communicate with a friend or somebody else, or to give orders to a person to write to you or come to see you, proceed as follows. Load the surface of the mirror with akasha, meditating on the fact that everywhere between yourself, the mirror, and your friend there is akasha. That means neither space nor time does exist anymore. Hold on to this sensation in deep meditation, and do wish at the same time to see your friend in the mirror. A few moments later, you will see the person you wish to see, like in a panoramic picture. And notice that the person is engaged with. Notice what the person is engaged with at the moment, and the nearest surroundings too. At the same time, God, it's been a long winter. At the same time, you will experience the feeling of standing next to the person. If the surroundings are familiar to you, you will be able to convince yourself of the truth of what you did see in the mirror with the help of the mental wandering. Provided the magician has been trained correctly, his astral senses duly schooled, his experiences with the magic mirror will correspond to the real facts as he may state with the help of the spirit wandering. Otherwise, you have to repeat the experiment frequently until you are quite sure that the things you did see are in accordance with the real facts, which can be corroborated without any doubt by other personal scrutiny. If, for instance, you notice that the person you wish to see is asleep, with the help of the imagination, draw the spirit, that is, the mental body, into your mirror and condense it through your will to such a degree that the person seems really to stand in front of you. If you manage to accomplish this, give the order you have been thinking about to the person. Doing this, you have to observe the mood of the present and command, just as you did when performing the self-suggestion, because it is possible that the subconsciousness of the person in question begins to oppose. But not one truly wise magician will degrade himself to give any orders for the sake of an evil purpose. The Akasha principle would take severe revenge on him. Furthermore, it is possible to make an astral contact with another magician of the same degree of development with the help of the mirror magic, and everything the practicant is talking about in the mirror will be perceived by his colleague, even at the remotest distance, sometimes so loudly as to be heard by a sensitive person who happens to be in the neighbourhood quite distinctly, although all is spoken from the distance. Deceased persons can be called up in the same manner to appear in the mirror. In this case, one has to concentrate on the Akasha and to imagine the person, or one has to think intensively that he or she may appear. If one wants to call a person one did not know, one has to concentrate on a certain clue dating from the time when the person was alive. One calls the name into the Akasha and one waits in deep meditation for the appearance of the deceased being. In a very short time, the being will show up in the mirror and the magician can express his desires. At the beginning, the communication with the deceased person will take place in a sort of thinking aloud, but later on one can really make conversation if one wishes to. One has the opportunity as well to make the deceased person step out of the mirror and condense the appearance with the help of the earth element, so that the person becomes visible even to the eye of any person who is absolutely untrained. It is entirely up to every individual how much he wishes to specialize in this work. Various other beings can be called up and condensed too, but the details about this problem will be found in my work, The Practice of Magical Evocation, because certain rules of conduct have to be considered here. The magic mirror representing a help to make contact with powers, entities, and so on. I will describe this method too in my second work, The Practice of Magical Evocation. At this point, let me remark only for the sake of curiosity as follows. Supposing the magician does load his mirror with Akasha, drawing his sign with the element analogous to the entity, his character and his symbol imaginatively on the surface, he is capable to come in close contact with this respective being, if he pronounces the name of the entity according to the universal laws. The contact will enable the magician to achieve anything according to the original properties of the being. The same thing can be said about all the other beings and powers. The magic mirror representing a help to self-influence or to influencing other people. Any magic mirror can serve as an excellent help for self-influence, but the best results will be obtained with a mirror equipped with a fluid condenser. There are so many different opportunities of employing it that it is quite impossible to register all of these. Here I can quote a few practical examples only. Draw such an amount of light from the universal ocean of light into your body with the help of the imagination or by breathing through lungs and pores that you can feel yourself red hot like a sun. Do impregnate this light with the concentration on a desire, wishing, for instance, the light and its radiation respectively might bestow intuition. inspiration, or any other desirable faculty on you, or make you recognize a certain truth. Now let the light flow through your hands with the help of the imagination onto the surface of the mirror and accumulate there until the tiniest spark of light has passed from your body into the mirror. Form the light accumulated there into a brilliant white ball or sun emitting extremely intensive rays. Repeat this loading several times at short intervals until you are quite sure that the mirror has been loaded so intensely that the rays are penetrating right through your body, spirit and soul, releasing the influence you have been wishing for. Now, with the help of your willpower and imagination combined with a firm conviction, bind this light to the surface of the mirror for so long a time as you need it, and then dissolve it again. You have got to be convinced so firmly of the effect and the influence of the light that not the shade of a doubt will arise in you. It is just this unshakable and firm conviction which gives this enormous dynamic power to the radiance of the light, coming very near to a physical effect. I myself did some years ago load a magic hollow glass mirror in this manner so strongly that it burst into hundreds of chips, and I had to procure a mirror made from oak wood for my task. Sit down in front of the mirror and meditate about the truth you wish to recognize or about the problems which you want to solve. After finishing the meditation, interpose the Akasha principle or induce a trance in yourself, and you will soon accomplish your task. In any case, you will get a pleasant surprise by working in this manner, and later on you can hardly do without this practice when performing your meditations. Supposing you keep the mirror loaded, you have to protect it from other people looking at it. The best thing to do is to wrap it in silk, because silk is well known to be a splendid insulator. You can also direct the rays from your mirror onto your bed, allowing them to work all night long, influencing your subconsciousness while you are asleep to achieve the desired purpose. Your self-suggestion will reinforce the effect and produce a quicker success. It is quite obvious that you will not only arouse cognitions and faculties in this manner, bringing them to a higher level of development, but your soul and your spirit will likewise be influenced in the desired respect. If you do not need the influence of the mirror any longer, or a different task requires a different loading, such as the irradiation of Akasha or of one of the elements, or magnetic and electric fluids may be wanted, then you have to suppress the first loading in the reversed order with the help of imagination, i.e., to dissolve the light, sending it back into the universe. You can, by rays, exert an influence on other people too, but in this case the desired loading has not to be directed to the surface of the mirror via the own body, but it has to be led to the mirror directly out of the universe with the help of imagination. So it is possible to accomplish all kinds of experiments such as hypnosis, magnetic sleep, mediumistic conditions, a fact which the intuitive magician will find quite natural. He will therefore arrange his practice accordingly. Right, we'll leave it there till the next one. Initiation into Hermetics.